So now when we start our application, it looks much better. And now let's get back to our backend functionality. I noticed something when I tried to upload a picture. I tried to upload this picture of my friend's cat, and I've got an error on the backend. It was this timeout error. You can see it here as well. And why it happens? It happens because this photo that I tried to upload, it's a bit chunky, it is big, and when our recognition tries to process it and to detect labels, it takes a bit more time. And how could we fix it? We could just add a timeout here in Serverless. Let's say 60 seconds. This is default timeout is like 3 or 6 seconds, I don't remember. So we increase it to 60, and now let's restart our server and try again. I upload the same picture, and when we changed timeout, it worked. But if we go to network and if we check how big is this picture, you can see the size, it's 4 megabytes, and we don't really need to load and store such huge picture here. So what I suggest to do is that we gonna resize it. Of course, just increasing timeout works as well, but we don't really need to store this huge picture and process it through all the stuff. We can just resize it and store it in the separate bucket for thumbnails. We still will keep original, but all the processing will happen with a smaller picture, and it will help us to reduce consumption of resources. And in case if you actually use your billing account, your real one, where it charges you for amount of data you store or amount of traffic you get, in this case it will also help you to reduce costs. So let's resize our picture. And another little thing I would like to add, we want to resize our picture, and first let's create a new bucket for our thumbnails where we will store them. And we go to Serverless again. Here we have our bucket name. We will rename it to original, and we will add another one here, and this will be thumbnail bucket. And we'll name it. Oops. And now the actual resource that we add, we can just copy this over this photo bucket that we have here, and again we will change thumbs, and here we change thumbs. Because we basically need everything the same here. Yeah, I think now that's fine. And in our save photo, we change bucket name to original, and we also add thumbnail bucket. And thumbnail bucket name. Let's delete unused console log. So here we put object to bucket name, the original one, and here we're gonna resize our image. How do we resize image in Lambda function? It's just the same as you would do it in normal Node.js application. We will use a module that is called Sharp. So let's install it. Okay, the module is installed. Let's run. And how to use it? First, of course, we need to add it here to our dependencies. We need to set the size. Let's create a constant width that will be equal to 600 pixels. I think that's more than enough. Now here we will create a thumbnail. We will use await again because it's a synchronous call. Here we will pass file binary content, and next we gonna resize it to the width, and we will convert it to buffer. And here where we save our file to the bucket, our original file, we just copy paste and we'll save it for thumbnail. And instead of the file content, we will just put our binary thumbnail. Amazing. Now also, if you scroll down here, where we pass our file content to recognition, we will also replace this with a thumbnail, because the picture is the same, just when it's the size is bigger, it takes a bit more time to recognize what is on the image. And do we need to change something else? Now here in our item, we can still leave it the same. Just here where we return saved file. Also return a link to the thumbnail. And it's gonna be thumbnail bucket name, and everything else is going to be the same. Okay, so now let's test it. We can test it with Postman. So we go find the same image with a cat and try to send it. Okay, it says no such bucket because we actually have to deploy it first. Let's run yarn deploy. So serverless will create our bucket. And so our server deployed. Let's try it again. I was trying to upload this picture. Okay, it worked, but it still took quite a lot of time. It says duration 11,000 milliseconds. Let's try to change our timeout. Let's try to return it to the original one, to the default one, and see if it will fail. Yes, it fails. And if we set it to the maximum accepted, maximum recommended timeout 30 seconds. And let's see what's going on, what's going to happen. I think it should be fine. Yeah, now it works. And if we try to deploy it, let's see if it will give us the warning or not. Okay, we still have warning. And if we change it to 20, so with 20 it seems fine. Okay, so it is deployed. Let's now actually test it on the remote server. Just will send another request. As usually, when you develop locally, everything works just perfect, but when you deploy, you all of a sudden get internal server error. That's frustrating, but that's also an opportunity to learn how to debug your serverless application. And as you see here, I opened the dashboard in serverless.com website. That's our application, and let's check what kind of errors we are getting here. Let's check the last one. And you see that this error says that something went wrong installing the Sharp module. And from the further explanation, you see that our Lambda wants to find a Sharp build for Linux, but because I am on Mac, and when I run yarn, it installs me OS 6 build of the Sharp library, and then it deploys OS 6 build. It can't run in AWS because AWS Lambda runs on Linux. So I found the solution for this issue on GitHub. You just need to, after you installed your dependencies, you just need to run this command and see what will happen. I just paste the command, and now I'm trying to deploy again. Okay, it's deployed. Now let's try again. And we're still getting the error, but the good news is that the error is different. Let's refresh our dashboard for the last 15 minutes. We see that here in the errors we don't have anything new, but here in function invocation we have some logs, and you see this is our error, access denied, and it's not very obvious what's happening here, but if you take a look here, you see that error happens when we try to put object to S3 bucket, and it seems that I messed up permissions in my serverless file. So let's go to our file, and of course I see that here I messed up this name because our new bucket is public thumbs. Let's rename it, and let's check one more time if I renamed it everywhere. Bucket name, bucket thumbs. Yeah, seems that's okay. And we allow all actions here. We allow get object, and here as well, but I think we should allow everything, same as in permissions for the row. Okay, let's try again. Okay, and now seems I messed up permissions for database as well. What it says that the Lambda doesn't have permission to perform put item on this resource. And if you go to our DynamoDB table, you can see that here I added all the actions, but in the database name, in the table name, I forgot to add this region and account ID. We could hard code it, but what's better, we could just add it from the variables. Here we can just use AWS, and it's gonna be region, and here it's gonna be account ID, and what else I missed there? I missed this table / table name. Yes, I just did it wrong when I added this resource. But why it worked locally? Because when you run it in serverless offline, it doesn't care about permissions. So sometimes it can be confusing like that. Let's try one more time. Okay, now something is wrong with deploy. Malformed policy document. So what did I mess up again? That's a question. Oh, yes, here. Sometimes it's hard. You do one typo and then you spend a lot of time to figure out what went wrong. Okay, and another try. I think now should be fine. What? Not authorized. Perform. Is that? Okay, that's really strange. We have put item, and here it says backend dev save photo. Table backend photos dev, and here we have backend recognition photos dev. Another little mistake I made. Okay, I hope now it's the last time I redeploy and it's gonna be working now. Okay, and now let's see. Fingers crossed that no more typos. And yes, we see our actual results. Finally. So now let's check our get request just in case if I messed up something there as well. It doesn't harm to check. Okay, our get request works. So we successfully deployed our application that resizes our thumbnails, but what I see here is this undefined that shouldn't be here. Let me check. Actually, I know what's going on here. In format photo response we have our bucket name, but it is actually not existing anymore, this environment variable. It should be thumbnail bucket name. So let's try it one more time. I just forgot to change it. And we try again. Now it's proper link to our thumbnail. Let's copy it like that. Yes, we downloaded the picture, and you see that it is resized. It is also it also changed the orientation by some reason. I'm not sure why, because probably it's some weird sharp settings. We will check. Let's run it locally again, and let's open our client on port 300, and we see our picture that is turned around. And yeah, it already shows us the resized version. I'm just wondering why Sharp changed the orientation. Let me try some other picture. So let's try some other picture to see if it will also turn it around. Okay, let's try mine. It's incorrect orientation. So by some reason, Sharp thinks that this one should be in landscape mode. Interesting. We can try to Google why it happens. Okay, rotates images when resizing. So we basically need to add this line with metadata. Let's try to do it. And now let's upload the kitten again, kitten in the fridge. Oh yes, so now with this line that we added, where is it? With metadata, it keeps the correct orientation. Perfect. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video. Bye.